Welcome back to Friends from Film School. We have a special guest in studio today. He has worked with us on many projects over the years, and he's a very talented camera operator. He also came by today to teach us a thing or two. His name is Tylere Brown. We need a live audience.
We'll cut that in.
Add the applause.
It's going in.
So we just bought the Ronin S gimbal. That's what it's called, right? Ronin S.
Mm-hmm.
And tried ourselves to set it up. And I tried to balance it, and I got pretty close, but it was really hard. So we thought we would call an expert to come in and teach us a thing or two on how to use it. And we're hoping it's going to make our filmmaking process a little easier
And better.
Hopefully. I mean, that's the ultimate goal usually.
Yeah.
So, how have you been, Tyler?
Good. Just trying to stay safe and healthy and enjoy the time that I have right now. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's there's so many different things you can kind of do right now. It's kind of crazy, kind of get overwhelmed in a way.
Yeah. What have you been working on recently?
Recently, I've done a few different projects, but the most recent big thing that I did was a music video in LA, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, I saw the pictures.
Yeah,
that looked really cool.
Video and behind the scenes.
Yeah. We actually, it was really fun because we got to kind of go everywhere in LA, parts of like West Hollywood and Southern California area.
Yeah.
And just really film. It was kind of like guerrilla style too, which was neat.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I mean, we were safe. We followed safety precautions when it came to it, but.
Were you guys out on like a beach or something in some of that footage?
Yeah. We went to Venice Beach one day, and it was like the most extreme, weather conditions that day that we have ever experienced in our lives.
Wow.
Legit, like we got out of the car, the wind was blowing. It was like low 50s maybe temperature wise, and it just was so cold. I was like, is it supposed to be this cold in California? Like, why is the wind blowing so hard?
It didn't look like it in the footage at all.
Yeah.
I was like, man, he's having the time of his life right now.
I mean,
know.
It was fun. The food was worth it, while we were there. But yeah, we got out of the car, we got our gear ready, we got everything packed up or packed out and put on. And I was like, okay, well, let's get going. So we walked down to the beach, and it's just an endless storm of like sand.
Oh,
just
no.
flying at particles of sand hitting me in the face, pelting me in the eye. Just like,
Dang.
It's bad out there when it's bad. Like, because I remember being on tour back, and we were in the desert, and there was these like 50-mile-an-hour winds, and you could almost like lean forward, and the wind would hold you up. It was like that, and it's just sand.
Holy cow.
Sand. Yeah, I mean, it was
almost
bad.
Rip your clothes off.
It literally, like, because we toured in an RV, and it almost like ripped our canopy off. Like, it was crazy, dude.
Yeah.
That was out in like have you ever heard of the Painted Desert?
No.
It's like somewhere in Arizona, but it looks like sand art, kind of. Like all of it, like those sand art things. It's like these crazy layers.
Like the waves?
Yeah, like it's like over the years it's caused that.
Is it like different mineral buildup?
Yeah.
Is it different colors too?
Yeah, different colors. Okay. It's beautiful, dude. It looks legit like painting or something. It looks just like sand art. It's like crazy colorful.
Wow.
Anyways, but yeah, we went through some bizarre storms, and I feel like weather when they have it out there, it's usually beautiful, obviously, on that side of the U.S., but I feel like when they have it, it's extreme. It's also the difference in like night and day. Like literally, it's like in the morning and at night, the desert, it's like 20 degrees.
Yeah.
And then during the day, it's like 120, It's just not really 120, but it's so drastically different.
Yeah, I was honestly shocked. I mean, it was probably one of the hardest, like, jobs I've worked in a long time too.
Oh, good. So something beat the dinner party.
Yeah. No, it was condition wise. It was pretty extreme. There was a lot of crazy things that we had to like account for.
Did you like run into any stuff with like your gear getting messed up?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, we got sand in gear. Just from the amount of sand that was blowing around. But it that part's easy. You just clean it out. You make sure it's in good working order. But like trying to pull focus and that windy weather, when, sand pelts me in the eyes. I had like one eye closed, and I was like, I can't see, and the sun was hitting me in the other eye, so I was like glare in one eye, sand in one eye. My hands are like trying to pull focus, and they're frozen from the wind.
You need
He's like, did you get that? You're like,
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Keep going.
My eyes are like watering. I had like tears falling from my eye.
Dude, like, speaking of using gear in bad scenarios, this is just a little PSA, I guess, but don't put your tripod in the ocean water.
That seems like a pretty logical thing to.
You would think so, but we did that, and like we filmed a music video for Andy Velo, a country artist, and this was, what year was that? Like
2017.
Yeah, years ago. No, yeah, it was years ago. And Ellis, you were there. We went down to Florida. It was before Ellis actually worked with us, but man, we put the tripod out in the water because we were shooting back towards the island we were on or whatever, and
getting the artistic look.
Yeah, it looked really cool, but good, and it was like performance. So I didn't want to hold the camera the whole time. I guess, I don't know, but or it might have been on the jib even out there. But the tripod legs, that salt and stuff really messed them up.
It's probably still there.
It corroded them, and then eventually they broke that. Middle piece, but we got a new middle piece. I think it fixed it, but it made them hard to open and close everything. So that's just something to not do. If you're a filmmaker, don't put it in salt water.
It's kind of cool though, seeing like how gear holds up in extreme conditions. When you're presented with something like that, is it like it's really going to come through and deliver what it needs to in terms of
like you were saying before, it adds character to
it adds character to it. Like the Ronin S that I use often has scuff marks and dents and and it's not from like mistreating it, it's just use and it holds up, which is kind of cool. So
like somebody who was a guest on here, Jordan Graff, we were watching some videos of his earlier, and like something that was actually a big mistake was he actually broke his I think it was an ND filter, wasn't it? He broke it, and it had this like hole in the center of it, but he ended up shooting with it anyways, and he got the coolest looking footage that has these like almost like ethereal like light rays radiating out.
Sci-fi film.
Yeah, it was really cool looking, and so because he ordered a new one to replace it, but in the meantime he shot some stuff with it, and it was just kind of one of those weird like happy accidents,
That's cool. I mean, having stuff like that happen and then like not like completely getting distraught about it, but it making the better of it.
Yeah, cool, for sure.
No, you can go ahead.
Speaking of gear, y'all shot with like 16 millimeter film for that music video, right?
Yeah,
I know I texted you a little bit about that when I saw your Instagram story.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. We actually the way the edit I think is going to go is we're going to bounce between that and the digital stuff, but there was some really cool moments for that whole film process, like because. And not in addition to like the normal stuff we were dealing with, weather conditions, we also had to compensate for like, putting new film in and like making sure the batteries are good for the camera. It's just a more delicate camera in general. So paying extra careful attention to like where that camera is, or like how you're treating it while you're in those conditions is a huge thing too that we had to like look out for.
So when you load the film, it has to be like completely dark, right? Like pitch black if you're unloading and loading actual film, or am I mistaken?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, Grayson, when he loaded the film, I don't think he was in the dark.
Maybe it's just
it might be something. Well, you can't. The film can't be exposed to light. That's for sure.
That's
just for prolonged periods of time.
I think at all. If the light touches it, it's shot. I think it's probably the way they put it in. There's probably something that covers it as you're putting it in.
Like the film itself comes in like a little plastic contraption of a sort. So you don't have the exposed film. Per se. Because
once film hits the light, it's gonna be like. It's going to affect it somehow. What about like do you know what the process is like? Getting that into your editing software, like digitizing it.
Yeah, I mean that part of the process. I know. Well, you're going to have to send it off obviously to get the film to develop. And then as far as it bringing it into the digital process, you have your scanner that you can just pull in. And I haven't personally done it, so I don't really know. I just know the process of starting it, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And that's a cool thing I've learned with working with Grayson. He's kind of like showed me the ropes, shooting film and like working with film.
Yeah.
I still don't know a lot about it, but I'm really interested, and that's kind of something I've been doing with quarantine too, is like teaching myself more about the film process.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, because I mean, we're so used to digital. Like we grew up, like all of us, we didn't have the opportunity to really work with film, or develop film, or so it's a cool process to kind of go back and like pay a tribute to it in a way. So.
It's funny too, because like people don't even probably know a lot of times that the terminology we use comes from film, like when you're developing photos, like dodging and burning is actually a process done with developing the photo.
It's not a Photoshop tool.
Exactly. In Photoshop, you dodge and burn, but when you're doing it in like in the darkroom, and Carrie, my wife, would know way more about this than me, but it was cool seeing her do that stuff when we were in college and everything. But it's like you hold like something over that area of that's being what do you call it, developed, and it would make it like darker. It's like you're trying to dodge or bring out the face, you know, and burn around it or whatever. It's really, really interesting, and I don't know enough about it to really speak to it, but I think it is cool though that, like, you know, most people would probably just be like, oh, I know how to edit in Photoshop and dodge and burn, but that came from something. There's an origin there.
Yeah. Something really scary about it too is since it's film and you send it off to be developed, if that person just messes up, you lose your entire, like, everything that's on that reel. It'd be like losing an SD card or something, but this is much more dangerous.
Well, and because the SD card is in your control.
Yeah. This is up to someone else.
It's such a volatile, you know, medium that you can't really, like, even when you film it, you don't really know unless you just expose the best way you can for it what it's going to look like. You know, so you're not really going to see your end image until after it comes back.
Yeah,
so
that's where
how is that as a camera op? Like, does it make you feel a little uneasy?
It makes me feel a little uneasy, but it also kind of, you know, it excites me and challenges me, and I feel in a way where you're like, okay, well, we have to be really on this, otherwise what we capture is going to be useless, you know, or it could be useless. So it does get a little nerve-wracking here and there, but the biggest thing is just remind yourself, you know, that you know the steps that you're supposed to take in terms of the digital process, so try to apply it and try to utilize it the best way you can to make it work. So, but
what type of musical artist was the music video for?
He is a young kid. Well, he's a young guy. He's 17. He just started doing his own type of rapping and his freestyle type stuff. But his dad is actually a music producer. I'm trying to think of his name. I think his last name's Wells, maybe. But his dad's done stuff for like some big artists. I think he said like Katy Perry and you know, Lady Gaga and stuff like that, like mixing, you know, producing, all that kind of stuff.
So there's some connections there.
Yeah. So their whole family is just engrossed
in the music industry.
Yeah.
That's cool.
His mom has a studio. They like his mom and him live at this house together in the Palisades, like really, really nice, like overlook, you know, like the piers over there, Venice Beach, or not Venice Beach, I don't know. I'm not too familiar with the location, but I just know it's fancy. It looks really good. But
cool places to shoot.
Yeah, cool places to shoot. You know, very has a certain type of, you know, feel and vibe that goes on with California when you're out there, which is cool.
Would you say that that's probably the coolest place that you've ever shot?
Bold statement.
Yeah.
That's how Ellis works.
I'm just
Ellis
curious.
goes
extreme.
Goes to extreme.
I'm curious if you think that's the coolest, or like what's the most rewarding or exciting film experience that you've had.
After this topic, I wanted to ask you something that Ellis mentioned the other day in a meeting. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
Oh, okay. Oh, I know what you're talking about.
I mean, I think California as a whole is probably one of my favorite places that I've filmed at, just because this is my second time going out there and filming. The first time was for the Capstone project.
Yeah, your documentary.
Yeah. So we actually went out more like Santa Barbara, Southern California, Santa Monica, like area.
Yeah, what's going on with that documentary? Can we talk about that some?
Yeah, that one is actually still kind of being worked on. There's stuff we still need to get with it. It's kind of been shelved just because of, you know, quarantine and stuff going on around it. But I know Brett's been you know, kind of working on some ideas and trying to get some stuff out there for it. So hopefully we see something happen with it.
Can you tell folks what the kind of the subject matter is?
Yeah, the documentary is about a man named Dusk, and he is a, you know, farm to table, live off the earth, very spiritual guy that writes music, poetry, books. He has like this crazy collection of things that he just does. It's just really cool. But the documentary is about him and his life story, like, you know, where he came from, and, you know, the big takeaway from the story is that, you know, no matter what you choose to do in life, you know, you'll find success in what you do as long as you're happy about it and you're passionate about it, you know.
Yeah. So, I picture him in my head like the dude from The Big Lebowski.
Yeah. No.
Maybe a little more productive.
Maybe. No, I mean it's a fun documentary. It's there's a lot of interesting locations in it. We got some really cool interviews. We don't really have a particular time frame for it when it's going to be finished, but we do have a lot of stuff to edit still on it. So, and there's still stuff to capture on it, which with documentaries, who knows how long you can go on with it.
Yeah, you could be capturing stuff until the end of the time.
Exactly.
Do you know about how many hours of footage you guys have shot?
Hours of footage. Whew, I know we have about, I want to say 8 terabytes of data right now.
Oh my god!
And that's just raw data.
Yeah, it's just raw, like unedited stuff.
Wow.
So, there's like
how many days of filming do you think you've done on it? Roughly.
Roughly, probably 25. I would say total.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
For people who don't know, I mean, 25 days of filming is. I
mean, that's definitely a feature-length territory.
Exactly. Yeah.
And and like I do feel like we have a lot of the footage that we need. There's just like particular things that we still need to capture. And once we have those, that's gonna that'll be the selling point for us. So.
Do you guys have like a team of editors that you're going to use, or is it just going to be one editor kind of coming through everything? And
yeah, I mean, no team of editors right now. We honestly haven't really thought that far ahead on it. It's just kind of been the creative process with like Brett and myself, and then whoever else was involved in different aspects of it. So who knows where it's going to go? We have some stuff I'm sure in the works. I know Brett was talking about trying to get some stuff going again on it. So but. Yeah, I mean, filming in California though. Like,
and just to clarify for people, tell them who Brett is.
Brett Beavers. He is very funny, talented director. He does his own thing. He kind of caters to comedy and like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and you guys met in film school.
Yeah. We met in film school and had a few classes together, and just ended up deciding to do our capstone together to make it easy. So.
That's cool.
He's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. He
awesome. Seemed really genuine.
Yeah, I need to. I haven't talked to him in a while, so I need to hit him up. But
hot take.
Here's the hot take. So I'll set the scene. Me and Luke were working at our desk, and Ellis is doing some CGI work, I guess, making a scene, and he's talking with his client. So we hear this conversation going on. And Ellis mentions how DSLR cameras are eventually going to be obsolete because of how amazing cell phone, iPhone specifically
are getting so good.
My reason or thought process behind it is that phone technology nowadays, they're starting to incorporate different types of lenses into the phones themselves. You've got your wide angle, right? You've got essentially what's like a 35 to 50 on the phone.
Yeah.
The camera themselves are getting really good, and all the capabilities that you want, being able to change your aperture, ISO, that kind of stuff is like slowly starting to get incorporated into your phone.
Yeah.
Everything that you want from a DSLR is now becoming much smaller, much more compact. Everything that you would need is going to be on here. So I think that we're going to see with future generations, these filmmakers just using their phone because it's what they have available to them, start making these movies. And I think it's going to eventually cause regular, like traditional DSLRs to decline. I still think you're going to have cinema cameras, mirrorless cameras, all of that stuff's still going to be in the film industry. I don't think that's going away. I'm just saying that like your old traditional DSLRs are going to give way to new filmmakers using phones.
Yeah.
And gear's already being developed. There's little tripods being made, little like you have one.
Yeah. I got a little, and people are already doing that. Like how many people we look at videos every day where we're excited.
That's what I was trying to.
When you explain it like that,
it makes more sense.
Yeah. I did not do a very good job of saying it.
I did a double take. I just
the other day, but that's kind of where I was going with it.
Yeah. I think it's possible that it'll get there. Like right now, it's definitely still a big difference in the quality, no matter how good. And I've shot a lot of stuff on my phone and playing around, and I've been doing a lot of like Photoshop things, like for fun of compositing, and I'm doing all that with my phone, and it looks really good, but it's still not anywhere close to like our camera or like Carrie's camera. When you zoom in, it's like the grain and the it's like
the finer details.
Man, even with plenty of light, it's got this messed up, it's this weird grain texture that it has, so it's still not there. But it'll probably get there, you know.
That's what I'm thinking. Is it's not there yet, but that doesn't mean that it won't be.
Well, I mean, in the process too is kind of already there, because like you take something like TikTok, for instance, or a video platform. You have people like younger generation, these kids or teenagers that are using their phone to make content like videos and like short films, sketches, whatever the case may be. They may not know a lot about filmmaking, but that process is already being started from that standpoint with a phone. And the
vertical aspect ratio is going to be a new like art form, basically. Like to them, that's going to be the norm. Instead of for us, that landscape is more like what we follow, because we went to film school and we watch movies, and that's like the kind of stuff
that's what it's always, it hasn't always been.
Right, but pretty much. And so now they like are using their phones, so they shoot it vertically because it's easier for people to consume, because they're scrolling and stuff, or if it's for a story or whatever. And people are doing some freaking really cool creative stuff with their phones, though. I've been pretty excited just seeing those things that people have been making. Like we saw one the other day. A guy made a transition by dipping his phone in a puddle of water, like the camera, the lens. So it's like a car is like driving by, you see the tire, and he like dips it in this puddle. Then the next shot, he pulls it out of a puddle. So it's just like a cool, easy transition.
That's cool. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's like he was saying the other day, it's like a birth of a whole new style that we're seeing. And it's cool because there's so much creativity in the style, and like so much kind of like uncharted territory that we're really going to be able to borrow and take away from it, and like start creating some really cool content.
I was thinking the other day, and like I know people probably think it's silly, or they make fun of stuff a lot, like TikTok dances and whatever, but this point in history is probably the most creative, that like where we've had the general population, masses of people,
I would agree with that.
Like the most creative output that's ever happened in the history of humanity, because for one, we're not worried as much about where to get our food and stuff like that. And I mean, for the first time, we've been a little concerned because we're in a pandemic. This is the first time we've had to deal with the fear of maybe not being able to get food, maybe not being able to find toilet paper or whatever, right? Or
but people
just
are still making memes.
Yeah. But it's like, and maybe people have been more creative because they've been at home and stuff. But it's amazing to see literally just anybody. Your average person now is a content creator. And they are just a person with an everyday normal job, whatever. But they're making creative stuff in their free time. And I think that's pretty cool. I mean, that's like elevating the consciousness of humanity, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a... Not really like a renaissance, but I mean, in a way, it kind of could be looked at it.
Yeah.
Like you have all this creative stuff happening, from drawing, art. You're seeing videos of these people doing these things. The videos being created, like history repeats itself. And like we have, we have people now, like people that worked on film. They're like, oh, you digital guys, blah 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 blah.
Right.
But when we get to that age and we're like, oh, these kids,
their phones,
vertical aspect ratio,
when we were on digital DSLR, it's like, so it's like kind of cool to see.
Cyclical,
it's really neat. I mean, but I think there is kind of like some type of little renaissance starting.
And then like I guess the downside is
oversaturation,
the oversaturation, and then the constant need for likes and comments and sharing and stuff. You're just always trying to put yourself out there. You essentially are like setting yourself up for rejection almost every day, and so you post something and it doesn't get a lot of likes and you instantly feel that rejection, so we also have that side that's messing with the human psyche as well.
And I think a lot of, because there's no need to be sad about it, but there's a lot of sad people right now, and so like when people try to get those likes and they try to reach out and stuff like that, it's like kind of like a cry for help in some cases,
for sure.
So
absolutely.
And a lot of times it's kind of like the formula of like the social media platforms, like people just don't see it, and maybe it's not like they're not liking your stuff because they don't like it. It's just because there's so much content, your stuff just kind of gets lost in the noise.
And absolutely,
there's nothing you can really do about that right now.
I know we did a whole episode on that social dilemma, like documentary, and for us it's like it's getting harder and harder to reach an audience because they essentially want you to pay to promote it and boost the post and all that stuff. So I don't know we'll see, I guess, what's going to happen in the future. These things are constantly evolving.
Yeah. So are you on like platforms like TikTok? Do you make content on there?
I've been thinking about it, but I actually just got TikTok for the first time like a few days ago, and I'm like, I scroll through it very, very often now. Just like, oh, these, this
I've heard it's very addicting.
It's very addicting, and and I deleted, I think, like Facebook and Snapchat, like a bunch of social media things, because I don't want to like consume my time with that. I want to be more creative and not look and watch other people be creative.
Not as much of a consumer.
Exactly.
I think there's a time for it because you can draw inspiration from other people's work, and there's a lot of social media platforms that kind of like give you the opportunity to see what someone's doing. And it can inspire you to make something. It's just finding that balance to make sure that you're not spending all of your free time just needlessly scrolling through.
You got to run with the inspiration when it hits.
Yeah, as soon as it hits, you got to just do it.
Yeah, that's where because when I started making those Photoshop composites and stuff, it was because of that, just seeing all these people doing it, and I was like, I could totally do that, and I ran with it.
Exactly.
I mean, because you're always trying to improve yourself, so if you get too caught up on other people and their success and their creative process, you're only stealing the time and energy away from yourself.
The other dangerous thing is that comparison. You just compare yourself to them, and like I find myself doing that all the time with people who are in similar like vein as we are, whether that's like filmmaking or podcast or whatever. It's like, oh man, it's like you see them doing something and you're like, God, I wish we would have done it like that or whatever.
Like, why didn't I think of that idea? Something similar to it.
Or it's like looking at people a little further down the, I guess, journey, so to speak, and they're, you're like, dang, I want to be where that's at, but not looking where you came from, too.
It's hard to separate yourself from that.
I'm often guilty of that. I've only been freelancing and working in the film world and freelance world for a few years now, like 2, 3, close, maybe 4 years. I don't know the exact time, but just thinking about that, and then like sometimes I get frustrated with like the instant gratification thing. I'm like, oh, I wish I could be doing this right now. And then I look at like counterparts or people that have been doing it for a while, and they're like 10, 15 years into it. So I'm like, okay. And they're at a point where they're like comfortable and they're like starting to get there.
It's also looking back, like you were saying, because like you could have used to have a job where it's like I had this full-time job working in this place I didn't want to be, and my dream then was to at least be working part-time or full-time in what I wanted to do. And you don't realize it, but you're now at that point. You made it past where you were, but it's hard to kind of like take a step back and kind of like take all of that in and be like, I actually am making progress, because you still see these people that are much farther along than you, and you just want to be there.
Totally.
I feel like you go on.
Oh no, I mean, I was just going to say, I think it's important to do that inner reflection, whether it be meditation, whether it be sitting down writing stuff out, but like I think it's important to pick like a time frame or like a window throughout the year where you just do that regularly. Like maybe every quarter of the year, you just take time to sit down, delve into your thoughts, figure out exactly where you're going and what goals you're trying to achieve, and then manifest them in like a visual form or something like that,
100%.
Not just save it or say it, but actually write it.
Yeah, like if manifesting is for real, it's like, and I think we're usually like pretty good about like setting our mind to it and we're going to do it, but even still there's 100 movie ideas that we started, and you know what I mean, like we have so many that we're like, oh, that'd be really cool, and then there's the ones that have, I guess, they rise to the top and you actually fulfill them, you go through with them, and I know you probably can't do every idea you have, but it takes a lot of discipline and time and just focus.
It's definitely a long run type of thing, and like there may be people that are successful and like really quickly, and like that's great, that's awesome, but that's not your path sometimes.
You can't hold yourself to that.
I also think too that like we're not made to have that instant success like that because we don't know what to do with it. Like if, for instance, if you're a musical artist and you are an overnight like hit, you don't know how to handle it because you didn't take the steps to get there. All the years of like playing in crappy bars, promoting yourself and like going and handing out flyers, and the parts where you're like doing the hard work so that when you get to that point, you're like really, it's gratifying, and you kind of, I feel like you're like a little more well equipped to handle the pressure because you've already, it's what you've been
built
working
up
toward.
to it instead of just skyrocketing to
it. Exactly. I mean, that's like if we like had, I mean, like even still, it's like if someone handed us a thing where they're like, hey, you're gonna go work with Steven Spielberg tomorrow, we'd like shit our pants,
freaking out.
You know, exactly. It's like well, I don't know if we're ready for that or whatever, but it's like a few years ago we weren't ready to do the stuff we're doing now, but now we are. You know, and now we're making where each project gets better, and like we're getting better at communicating with actors and communicating with crew, and getting better with just planning and logistics and all those things, until eventually it's like all those little things become something like huge, where you're like,
big things,
okay, J.J. Abrams needs you, okay, then you could actually handle it, and not your brain, because right now your brain would just not explode and you'd have panic attacks.
You're just like, oh, it's JJ, that's fine.
Exactly. Yeah.
Your brain would explode.
Yeah, exactly.
Something crazy. You know?
Because I think like if it had been when we started the business and we were going to work with like Catherine Dyer and Jason McDonald, I would have been too intimidated to really direct them and stuff like that. But you know, we got a few years of making short films and also running a business and communicating with clients and just understanding how to be an adult and stuff like that. Then it's like, okay, now we can talk to these people who are much older than us, way more experience, and have worked with like well, you know, big directors. I was going to say real directors, but we're real directors. But like, they may put us in a place where we could actually communicate with them and, you know, direct them on set.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why don't we take a quick break and we'll be right back. Hey guys, we just wanted to take a quick second to tell you we have launched our Patreon page. It's a place where listeners can help support the show and gain access to exclusive content.
Now for $5 a month, our Patreon members get bonus episodes like our classic movie nights, where we watch classic films and talk in depth about what we liked, what hasn't aged as well, and how they achieved some of their special effects.
You'll also get early access to episodes before they're released to the public, and we'll give you a shout out on an episode of the show as well. Now this is a growing platform, so we'll be adding all kinds of new content over time, and you can gain access to all of it exclusively at patreon.com/friendsfromfilmschool.
You can follow at Sozo Bear Films on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now let's get back to the show. All right, and we're back.
So have you guys heard or seen the 4K Lord of the Rings remastered box set that came out?
Yeah, I was watching a video with Peter Jackson kind of explaining their, you know, changing the color for it so it all matches like a, I guess, similar look for all 6.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then also, which I didn't fully understand, but they were doing something with the CGI. Maybe you know more, but where it wasn't like they were recreating it, but kind of removing some minor imperfections.
Yeah, I know they've been fine-tuning. I actually have a photo. Let me see if I can.
Okay.
I'll show you guys.
I would say that's probably what held The Hobbit back the most, was just their CGI was very
I mean, I don't know if they're really changing too much.
Was it this IndieWire article that says Peter Jackson discovered visual inconsistencies and that needed fixing?
It's probably that. It was a Warner Brothers like put out a
Here's
little
an
documentary
example of like the color.
Okay.
So the bottom image is the 4K remastered type thing.
Gotcha.
So
I liked it before better.
Yeah, a lot of people are. That's the qualms that they're having with it.
Yeah,
it's taking away from that true feel and essence that was Lord of the Rings.
That's what I read, is that he thought Fellowship is too green, which I agree, but I like it.
Yeah,
so
I think
I don't know how I feel. But I did read this on Reddit about the box set, that they're releasing them now, but then in 2021 they're going to release like another special edition with even more behind the scenes stuff. So cool. If you're going to get the 4K remasters, maybe wait for it.
I guess they're giving it like the Terminator treatment. Whenever we talked about it, but they're just
did you know about that they do that now? Like all these classic movies are being recolored to have the orange and teal look now.
I didn't know. No.
Yeah, like if you can't even find the original hardly, I think. But if you go watch Terminator, like you rent it or watch it on Amazon or whatever, it looks now much more like a modern film. It's like, and I could tell when I was watching it, and then I Googled it, and sure enough, like, because you can't. There's certain things you can't do with like skin tones and the background being that drastically different that we're all used to now. Faces being more orange, background being more bluish teal, And honestly, I mean, it looked great, but I was like, wow, they're definitely changing history, and the fact that Terminator looked a little more like a cheesy 80s movie, now it looks like a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's an actual theory on it, but my theory on that is just, I feel like our generation, or the people that watch those movies, we were used to that look and that feel,
Yeah.
And now you have, like, I feel like they're trying to come up with ways to keep people more interested in those movies still.
Yeah.
So, they
so
can
newer audiences.
Yeah, newer audiences.
Yeah.
So they're going to change the way it looks, the way it feels, so they can kind of get the attention span to stay with it.
It's unfortunate. It feels like a disservice to the original movie.
Yeah. But if it's the same team, that like the same director, and
if the director and everyone's okay with it, then I think that's a different story.
Unless it's the special edition
Blade Runner
or Star Wars.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what I was going to say, which I thought was really funny. Also, reading about the Lord of the Rings thing on Reddit was someone said, "Yep, this lines up to about the same time frame of George Lucas going back and doing the special edition, remastering with Star Wars." But
man,
luckily it's not.
I do not like those remasters.
They're bad.
There's so many bad things that they added, and it's just like it literally looks like they just put as many like characters into scenes as they could fit sometimes. But I saw this funny article years ago when I first started really learning about the orange and teal, I guess, phenomenon or whatever. But it was like showing what if like throughout history all art had done this, and it was like the Mona Lisa, it was like Renaissance art, and it was just orange and teal,
completely different colors.
I
don't know if the artist really wanted this. I don't know if this was their vision.
Yeah, it's kind of like making it all mainstream. Like there's no variation, there's no like artistic touch to it. It's kind of becoming almost robotic, and if it kind of feels that way to me, is like they're creating a formula that they're going to apply even to older movies, and it takes the character out of the movie. Yeah. And I think it's more of a studio decision on some of these movies than it is a director.
Well, the studio's the one trying to still crank out.
Yeah, and they're the ones that own the rights. So they might, if they own the rights to that intellectual property.
I'm also like torn because I do like the way it looks. Yeah. The orange and teal.
It doesn't look bad.
Yeah, I like it so much, even though I feel like I don't know. It's weird that they're changing.
It's kind of like reading the graphic novel of something, or like The Walking Dead, for instance. Yeah, like you're used to that whole entire series the way it is, like on paper. But the second you watch the show, you're like, okay, there's something different. Yeah, I could still watch it. I haven't watched that much of it, but when I did watch it, I was like, pretty cool.
Were you were into the graphic novel though?
Yeah. I didn't.
It doesn't line up.
Yeah, it doesn't. There's a certain point in the graphic novel where it just changes completely. And
well, even the beginning. I don't know if we want to get into spoilers, but yeah.
That came out a long time ago.
Yeah.
Because the character Shane, he was John Berthal's character in the comic, got killed like first issue or something. Right?
I think he got killed really quick.
Yeah, and then they kept him around.
Since I've read it, but yeah, it's just like any medium or that has something tied to it, like an anime and a live adaptation, or like something like that. It's just a different style,
Yeah.
So
yeah, totally. Books especially. I feel like if I've read the book first, it's tough to sometimes with the movie because I imagined all these people told or characters differently, and like their setting I imagined it differently, and there's obviously their magic to the book that they have a hard time sometimes recreating or bringing to life.
I think it's the difficulty. Well, comparing books to movies than books to television is they'll change stuff to streamline it, but with books to movies it's even worse.
Yeah.
So that there's some of your favorite chapters or moments in the book and it's just in the cutting room floor.
Yeah. Totally.
They have to though. Otherwise the movie would be like
Brad, they have to
10 hours long or something. But
why'd you say that?
I'm trying to keep theaters alive.
You don't want to watch a 10-hour movie?
Yeah.
That's where the TV show comes into play. Works.
Have you been watching The Mandalorian?
No, I watched the first episode of the new season, and I haven't watched the other ones yet.
Oh, dude,
that
was good.
That rocked my world, though. That was pretty awesome.
Just wait.
Oh, it's so good. Dude.
It is. has completely outdone season 1 for me so far. It is way better.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping to hear.
I think it's like the first Star Wars thing that's come out where fans are on board, like almost unanimously. I feel like because everyone's had so many problems with the movies. Yeah, either some people loved them because they're going to love anything that's with Star Wars. Other people very critical, like overly critical. But man, I feel like everyone I see talking about The Mandalorian is like, this is what we've been looking for in Star Wars.
Yeah.
This is the way.
I'll say this. I felt like, and I don't know if I mentioned it to y'all, but I know I've mentioned it to people for years, is that I never was really big into the expanded universe of Star Wars. But I had this thought earlier today, I think, where it was like, man, this show is making me interested in the expanded universe. Because I used to be the guy that was like, if it's not in the original 6 movies or anything like that, just forget about it. That's pretty much like, it's like just random stuff they added, to make merchandising money off of books and, toys. But I was like, after this show, I'm like,
I'm really into
I need to watch Clone Wars. I need to get more into
the people who are like into it too. They'd be like, you're not a real Star Wars fan if you don't know the expanded universe. You know, they're like,
Star Wars made me want to direct movies, so they can be wrong.
Man, they're like, how dare you watch The Mandalorian if you haven't watced all of the Clone Wars?
Right,
Star Wars.
Do you even know the Old Republic? Like, I mean, I honestly, for me, like. I have to admit, I do read some of the expanded universe books and stuff, like the Old Republic series.
You don't have to make it a confession. We're still friends.
Don't push me out, But yeah, no, it's the books are good. I mean, you do feel it doesn't really, as far as the story goes, it's kind of irrelevant in some places, but it does have good stories in that sense, like learning about Revan or like Darth Malak or some cool Sith Lord that was around a long time ago in the Old Republic that did all these crazy things, or like a standoff book for Darth Maul or something.
Yeah,
man, imagine like you come up with an idea right now. Let's see, like around the age you are now, to make a movie, and then for the next several decades, people like expand on your idea.
It's got to be weird.
Yeah,
and make other like a whole like universe.
A subculture of it
from the universe that you created.
Yeah,
I mean, same thing with Tolkien though. Is that there are people who've like committed their whole lives to like studying his writing and understanding the world he created.
I actually read it when I was a kid because my parents got me his entire lore for like all the expanded lore, and it was like written like historical text.
Yeah, like the Silmarillion. And stuff like that.
I read like all of those when I was a kid.
Yeah,
that's like what got me super into like medieval stuff.
Nice. Yeah, I did. Have you guys seen the biopic on that yet?
I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, I think it's on Amazon Prime, but it looks really great. It looks awesome.
Cool. What's that called?
It's just his like biopic.
Tolkien.
About Tolkien? Okay. That's cool.
We should watch that.
Any fancy. It may have a fancy name. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it looks pretty neat. I mean, he's probably one of my favorite, authors. The Hobbit I've read like probably 20, 30 times.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love that book. It's like it's probably my favorite book of all time.
How old were you the first time you read
it? Probably maybe 10 or 12, something like that.
Yeah.
Did you watch the animated movie when you were a kid?
Oh, yeah.
I watched that a lot.
Yeah. That movie, I played the Hobbit video game.
Yeah.
Like, I love that game. I love that movie. I love that, the movie even, I don't mind, which is kind of cool.
I never finished the third Hobbit movie.
Yeah.
I lost steam. I love Lord of the Rings though, but I don't know.
They could have done it in 2 movies, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. The end was pretty good though, to the third one. I think that they did it justice. The first movie is probably the one that was probably like the weakest to me out of the Hobbit series.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of liked the whole starting the adventure, like like watching a movie and like here's the adventure it's about to start.
Yeah.
That's why I love the Fellowship so
Fellowship's
much.
my favorite one too.
Yeah, because you really get that sense of adventure and like curiosity and like excitement when you see the whole Fellowship come together and like really embark on the journey.
9 companions. So be it. You shall be the Fellowship of the Ring.
Right. Where are we going?
That's like there's those little things in movies that I love too, like when they're preparing for the like battle, kind of like the montage of like, oh, like that's why I like Home Alone, I think, because it's those scenes where he's like setting the booby traps. Those are like the most fun parts, because it's like if you feel like you're kind of part of it. It's not the actual
battle, but
it's like getting ready for it. It's like they did it in Stranger Things, and like I forget what season it was, whenever he was like possessed or whatever.
Where they go through the ups or whatever it is.
They gotta like
upside down.
Yeah. Well, but like they like have him tied up in that room, and they're
talking
like,
about when they're beating up Billy.
No. What's his name? I think it might have been like the second season.
Oh yeah. When
they're like putting stuff all over the wall. I guess they were covering the windows or something. I don't know, but it's like that just montage of like we got to prepare this space, and then like we tying him to the chair, and all that stuff. Everyone like working as a team and everything.
Yeah.
Or like I feel like, I don't know, Wes Anderson would probably do that kind of stuff. He's like, it's like, oh, here's all the things we need, and we're getting them together.
Yeah.
And, I love those parts.
Yeah. Those mechanics like really build in, like, in a way, anxiety for the viewer, but it also it kind of goes through like a trial and error process. Like they're doing these things, and then as a viewer, you're just like, oh, okay, well, this is how I would do it as well, or oh, that's a good idea. So it kind of like caters to a comfort level too, which is kind of neat.
Yeah,
because you're seeing it being done before your very eyes without you having to like, be directly in that scenario yourself. So you get to enjoy the the craziness and all that from the safety of your bed or couch, or so it's cool.
Like the shopping montages.
Yeah. Extreme couponers.
They're like they're like the shopping montage in the movies. They're like, how about this dress? And they're like, no, not that one.
Does another spin?
Yeah. No.
Like, this is why I don't go, clothes shopping. Yeah. I just stay at home.
What's been the biggest inspiration of stuff for your filmmaking that you've seen this year? Anything that kind of comes to mind?
Well, for me, just honestly, like, I felt like I was in like when quarantine happened and we were all kind of figuring out the waters for it and stuff. I did, I got in a slump pretty bad, and creatively, I just really wasn't interested in doing much, so.
Right.
But I just started kind of exploring what makes me happy, in terms of, shows, life things of that sort. I'm a big sci-fi fan. I'm a big, fantasy, whatever the case may be. But I watched this show called The Expanse.
Yeah.
And that show really re-sparked my imagination. It really was fun to watch, and it just like it's so massive. The scale's so huge on it, and it's so well written. Like it's such a good show.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about it, but I haven't had time to get into it.
Yeah, I mean, I binge watched like, I think there's 5 seasons on Amazon. I think I watched it all continuously in like over a month or something, or a month and a half. So, but that show, that's definitely been something that's inspired me to kind of get creative again and like work on stuff. And back to like the whole TikTok and like small content type videos. Seeing those even, like
right.
I've started to, try to draw some more and stuff just from seeing things like that, kind of rekindling the lost, love of what I used to do.
That's cool.
Stuff. So, and hopefully my goal is to like do those things. Like, I want to try to learn how to dance. I don't want to be that awkward guy on the dance floor, like shaking like a noodle with my hands in my pocket. So like, I'm gonna try to do some stuff like that.
You're going to be doing the renegade.
Yeah. I'm gonna be whipping it back and forth, and just like throwing it down low.
That sounded like a lyric. You're like shaking like a noodle with my hands in my pocket.
I mean, that's the truth though.
So I feel that on a very deep level.
Yeah. So I mean, taking those things though, and not necessarily like film.
Are you going to take like dancing lessons?
No, I think I'm just gonna start learning on my own.
That's cool.
I don't know have you guys ever seen like the shuffle dance?
Like Charlie Brown?
No, it's like think like not EDM, but like boom, 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 like type of music, and they're like dancing, kind of stuff.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. I mean, it's I want to feel, cool. I want to move my body around and get used to like moving and being free.
Yeah, and not feeling like insecure about doing it. And,
exactly. So that for me is like, that's what I'm doing. Instead of, I'm not really watching as many things, so I'm trying to do more things outside of filmmaking to inspire my filmmaking.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I bet even like learning how to dance will help even more with being, running camera and like, being more comfortable in like getting into positions and almost finding that rhythm with it. Because there's some connections there.
I agree 100% because I think having a musical background has helped me a ton with camera operating.
That's cool. That's really cool because the process of
it's like when we're shooting, especially when we're shooting a music video or whatever, like I'm moving around to the beat kind of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I can feel the music, and I understand it like on a tonal and like a rhythmic and like a vibration level and everything. So I think it does affect how I'm holding the camera, how I'm framing or moving or moving my body with the camera.
Yeah, I mean, because you are basically dancing with the camera. It's your it's your dance partner.
Yeah.
And you move your arm a wrong way or your body a wrong way, it's going to mess up your shot. So be more in tune with your body.
You're stepping on their toes.
Exactly. Just feel the rhythm of it.
Keep you loose too, because it's probably really easy to kind of get like stiff, like especially editing and stuff all the time, and then like go from office work to like having to move around a lot and like film. It'll help kind of like keep your joints loose, keep everything feeling good, so you're not like hurting yourself whenever you're filming.
Well, next time we have you on the show, you're going to be a famous TikToker.
We'll see. I have an idea for a skit. I'll let you guys see it as it comes. So.
Yes. Awesome. All right, cool. We should probably wrap it up, man. But, dude, thanks so much for being here. Thank you for teaching us how to use this gimbal, of course. For being a guest on the show.
Yeah,
this is great.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
Real quick before we end, tell the audience how they can find you online and stuff like that.
So I'm on Instagram mostly, but Tylere V Brown Instagram, and it's Tylere, spelled kind of weird.
Tylere,
yeah. V is in Victor and then Brown. So
sweet.
Awesome.
But yeah, shoot me a follow. I have some content that I've done up on there, and I'm always down to collaborate with anybody on anything. So
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And like we said in an episode before, but like if you're listening to this show and you live in another part of the world, like because we can see it kind of on our stats and stuff, shoot us a message on Instagram and say, hey, we'd love to hear from you, because we're just super curious about who's out there listening and everything. So shoot us a message, and we'll see you next time.
See you.
All right. Bye.